Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Amritanshu and today we are diving into another episode, another round of economic news articles from India and the world abroad. These set of topics are going to be very informative and that's sure to spark your curiosity in the subjects. So in today's video, we'll be exploring, some topics which have been in the news, which has been covered by the National Daily, and also we have a special section today featuring Arunachal Pradesh news. Now, whether you're a student looking to ace your exams, or a lifelong learner eager to expand your knowledge, or just someone who are just passionate about this subject, you are in the right place, my friend. Now, for those of you who may be new to the channel, I'm Amritanshu. I'm presently working in a premier coaching institute in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. Yes, and I believe that learning should be a fun and a rewarding journey, and that's exactly what we are all about here. Stick around because in the next 2 minutes we'll just uncover some easy to note topics important for our GS paper 3 in our civil services preparation. And I have done all the research. I have distilled all the topic into bite-sized actionable information just for you, easy to grab. Fine. So all right, enough chit chat, let's get started with the today's subjects. So as you can see here on the screen, the first topic for the day is GST, about GST, and the news is related to 8th January. So 8th January in the newspaper Indian Express, this has been published. So what is important for our exam point of view, right? There are multiple news articles, repeating news articles in economy subjects. Not all of them are important. What does this news article specifically talks about? It talks that if you can zoom out the screen, zoom in the screen, and you can look at. So it says that goods and services tax authorities have detected itna bogus firms. Fine. So bogus firms means illegally registered funds. Now, why anybody would want to illegally register for goods and services? First of all, fine. And why the government needs to catch hold of it? So for this, we have to understand something, my friend. कि GST में the most important thing is something known as input tax. If you can see on your screen, it is known as input tax credit. And ITC is the backbone on which the entire GST mechanism is resting. Fine. Now, what is input tax credit? If we just know about it, input tax credit, nothing. It is just that कि government means there is an every stage of production, some taxes will be levied. Suppose there is a woodcutter A cuts a wood and sells this wood at 100 rupees to B. So obviously there will be sales tax, which was earlier there before GST. So GST of say 5% will be applicable here. So B has to pay how much? 105 rupees. Kisko? To A. Now A will keep 100 rupees at his profit or his value addition, and 5 rupees will be paid to the government in the form of GST. Now again B will process this wood, and he would, since B is a carpenter, B will process this wood and B would make it into a table. Now suppose also, so B will sell this table at 300 rupees. Now on this 300 rupees there is another 5% GST, suppose. So what is 5% of 300? 5% of 300 is, come on my friends, tell me. 5 3 ja 15 rupees. So he will pay 300 plus 15. Now this is the customer will pay 315 rupees to B. Now B will keep 300 for himself and B will give this 15 rupees to the government. So government got how much? 15 plus 5 rupees total of GST. What is the total amount of goods produced in the country, in the economy? 100 rupees का value इसको मिला, 300 or 200 rupees का value B ने कमाया. B is a carpenter. Why 200 only? Because 100 rupees तो इसका raw material का cost हो गया, and another 200 he has it as a profit. So the economy produced 300 rupees का item. The total GST is 5% only. So technically the government should keep only 15 rupees, but the government is keeping 20 rupees, my friend. Because government is charging the GST on the same product twice. And who is paying the GST twice? B is only paying the GST twice. So this 5 and this 5, my friend. So what happens actually? Government will give this 5 rupees back to B. So this 5 rupees back is known as the credit of input, because B paid 5 rupees on the input. Fine. So this input tax is returned to B by A, by the government. So this is known as input tax credit. Now, why this input tax credit becomes important? See, if you look at this carefully, you will see that. Just a minute. You will see that. See, government has started to catch these people. Why? See the news here. A total of 29273 bogus firms involved in suspended input tax credit evasion. So this term is important here. That is why people, they register on fake businesses. What they do, they just buy unnecessary raw materials for their personal use, and they say that they have been buying it for developing their company. Whenever you buy raw materials for the company, it means you have paid GST while procuring the raw material, and whenever you will sell those GST, whenever you will sell those products, final products, you will pay GST. So initially what you do, you claim the earlier input, the earlier tax which is paid on the input by you to the government. As a result, the government was making loss. Now just imagine 44,000 crore rupees fraudly it has been claimed by the companies. So input tax credit becomes important, and this article also gives us insight, especially on this last two paragraphs. So for our examination, what we have to focus is only these two paragraphs, because what the government is doing, see, this is basically working to improve the tax administration. Why tax administration is important? See, our main sources of revenue is tax, and taxes may the most important contribution comes from GST. Around, we know that 17% of India's revenue collection comes from GST. Around 34% of the revenue collection comes from borrowings, my friend. So GST, income tax and corporate tax, they play a very important role. What is tax administration? Tax administration is when the government is conducting raids, when the government is making transparent systems so that tax ki chori can be kept at bay. So these two paragraphs are only and only important for our mains examination. So just read these two paragraphs from 8th January 2024 Indian Express. Fine. With this, let's go on to the next topic. So sorry for this slide mix up. So we'll see today this and this. Anyway, let's come back to the third. Again, on 8th January 2024, Indian Express gave an article which is known as What the GDP Data Show. My friend, this article is not new. It is not important for an exam, because this article is covering, mostly it is covering the normal static part of mains. What does a GDP has? So what do we know from our learnings? That GDP of a country can be calculated by two things, by two ways. Either GDP is what? Production, and production ke liye you need two things, input, and when there will be input, there will be output. So how can we calculate our GDP, or how can we calculate the GDP of any place, any institution, any country? Either we add all the inputs, fine, or we add the output. Output means, suppose 10 cars, 20 bicycles, 15 pens have been produced. So we just add the final value. Or input. How does input happens? Input happens by investments. Okay. Who consumes output? Output को consume करने के लिए you have to spend some money, expenditure. So either we add this or we add this, we'll arrive at the GDP. Government, the NSO, National, this office, it follows the expenditure method mostly. So under expenditure, what we do, who spends in India? The government spends in India, the private investment is there, and the most important contributor is the households. So if we add the private final consumption expenditure, if we add the government final consumption expenditure, and if we add the total fixed capital formation, private, fixed capital formation, we will arrive at the GDP. Also, we have to add an external sector in this. What is the net export or net import, whatever is this? So we have to add the external sector. This particular article of the Indian Express, what it is saying? It is saying that if we just zoom around, these three things are only important for our mains examination, my friend. Don't do anything other than these three things, especially the last three paragraphs. We have done it in the class, we have covered these things in the class, we have been covering these things in the class. It is saying that what is the status of investment spending, what is the status of government spending, and what is the export, and also what is the household. So private consumption, expenditure. This is just a trend which shows why GDP is important, why it is not important. Always there is a possibility of a direct question from this particular topic. So just go through, especially these three only. Don't read these things. These are not important. These will not add any value to your learnings. Fine. Now let's move quickly to the next part. Next part is a god that failed, my friend. A god that failed. So first of all, I'll tell that this is a news from 8th January 2024, Indian Express itself. So you have to understand this particular columnist, respected Manish Savarwali. Whenever you come across his articles, you make it a point that you read it then and there, because he has some brilliant analogies and brilliant points that he has. Now, my friend, government came out with a Jan Vishwas. Jan means people, right? Vishwas means trust. Jan Vishwas Bill. Now, bill means law. So, basically, this Jan Vishwas Bill is mostly aimed at promoting the business doing in India. Business को promote करने के लिए किया गया है. What business? Obviously, private businesses. What the government does? Government said that earlier, small things were punished. Suppose you are a medicine manufacturer, and suppose you made a medicine, and after making a medicine you basically you sold it at a very expensive price, suppose, or you allegedly you used the government's lab reports to show that your medicines are perfect, your medicines are as per the norms, your medicines are perfectly balanced. So when you sell those medicines, what happens actually in those medicines? There is this that is substandard quality. So once it is find out that it is a substandard quality, the medicine manufacturer, the medicine manufacturer is sent to jail, right? There is no other way around. He's just directly he's sent to jail. Now, suppose you set up businesses and you committed any problems, you committed any sort of crimes. So for little bit things there was punishment. Now punishment means your case will be held in criminal court and not civil court. Why? Because criminal court will always punish you. Now what the government has done, government has deleted all those provisions which were not business friendly. What the government has done, government has said कि now punishment in almost thousands of crimes have been removed, and in place of punishment there will be penalties. Now whenever I say the term punishment, it means that there is a jail term involved. Punish, you can always punish someone only by sending to jail. So punishment has been replaced by penalties, means now you give a fine of 2 lakh rupees, you are free. Now this is a very important step, because this will promote the business friendly investment opportunities in the country, first of all. Okay, so this penalties are now the norm. Now this, please go through this particular article. It just talks about certain data. What is important? This is not important. Only the last paragraph. This last paragraph is only important for your this. What you have to write, you just have to write one line, ki how many punishments have been, how many laws have deleted, have been modified, have been edited over a period of time. Okay, make sure that you read this. Next, we have a wonderful article by Vivek Devrai ji. He says a plan to measure, and basically in this he talks about the status of logistics in India. What do you mean by logistics? Logistic means the transportation of one goods from one place to another place. How much time it is taking? What is the cost of transportation per kilometer? What is the cost of using the storage facilities? What is the cost of providing that to remote villages? Fine. What is the time taken for a parcel to reach from place A to place B? Getting it? Suppose a truck container is going from is loading oranges from Arunachal Pradesh and it is going to Gujarat. How much time, at an average, whether in 4 days or 5 days, the truck is reaching the coast of Gujarat or the coast of Goa? From where on it will be shifted, it will be transported, it will be exported to the other countries. So logistics involve a lot of things. Now, what is important here? That what is the government way forward? What is the current state of logistics in India? But before that, understand that the World Bank publishes Logistic Performance Index. Okay, World Bank publishes the Logistics Performance Index, and on the basis of World Bank, India said that we will have our own Logistic Performance Index, which is known as LEADS. So India publishes LEADS every 2 years, and the results of 2023 LEADS survey was around. And what is important here is that what is the status of all the states in India? How much time? What is the average? What is the delay? What is the ranking of the state in terms of handling, in terms of packaging, in terms of storage, in terms of delivery? How much time? What is the normal norms? There is a widespread variations. So LEADS survey is released. You have to know which particular ministry or which particular department releases LEADS survey. And for especially for the students of Arunachal Pradesh, as I am involved there, so just an extra information for them that Arunachal Pradesh in this LEADS 2023 survey, which has been done by the government of India, in this basically government has stopped giving ranks. Government says that coastal states should be judged separately, mainland states should be judged separately, northeastern states should be judged separately. So in the year 2022, Arunachal Pradesh was under the category of an aspirant state. Okay, and its status has improved in the year 2023, and it means that the government is working really hard to improve the logistics ecosystem in the state. And in the year 2023, Arunachal has moved from being an aspirant to a fast mover category. What is above fast mover? Above fast mover there is achiever. Fine. Means सबसे पहले लोएस्ट में there is an aspirant कि whether the state is looking forward to change the things or not. In the second stage, whether you have started moving or not. So if you have started moving, you will be upgraded fast mover. And last में आता है achiever. Now Assam, the neighbor, is achiever in 2022 itself and 2023 itself. But there are multiple reasons to believe. But in Arunachal Pradesh, one thing is good, that aspirants say we have moved to the fast mover. What is the plus point in Arunachal Pradesh? Generally, if we see to these many things, if we see that mostly the performance of giving licenses, giving NOCs have been really fast. Taking permissions have been really fast. Packaging ecosystem in Arunachal has been really fast. Fine, all these factors are just working. So what is important for us in this particular news article, especially he has given some data, and the most important data that he has given is the cost of logistics in India. The cost of logistics. Suppose India's GDP, India produces, suppose 100 lakh crore. Suppose it is 170, but let it be, because calculation will be then out of a part. So India produces 100 lakh crore of GDP. Out of this 100 lakh crores, around 14 to 15 lakh crores, matlab around 14% is towards logistic cost, my friend. मतलब हुआ ये कि साल में हम लोग 14 लाख करोड़ रुपीस खर्च करते हैं किस पे? ट्रांसपोर्टेशन भाड़ा देने में. सिर्फ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन नहीं है, पैकेजिंग भी है, स्टोरेज भी है, वेयर हाउसिंग भी है. गेटिंग इट? स्टिल इट इज अ लॉट ऑफ कॉस्ट. व्हाट दी नॉर्मल ग्लोबल एवरेज कितना है? ग्लोबल एवरेज में एवरी कंट्री स्पेंड्स अराउंड 8% ऑफ देयर जीडीपी. India and the other South Asian nation, they spend 14% of the GDP. It shows that we have still not improved, and logistics needs to be improved. In order to do that, government has a program known as PM Gati Shakti. So for your mains examination, this is GS paper 3 mein under infrastructure part. We have to be very sure about these terms, that is PM Gati Shakti. Fine. Now my friends, let's move to the next part, that is toy. So toy exports surged 239% to $326 million in 8 years. Now this is an interesting take. We will have a separate video on the toy exports. I just make sure that please go home. After you end this video, please have a notes prepared on toys manufacturing in India. Fine. What is the challenges of toy manufacturers? What is the prospects of toys manufacturers? Right? Because I personally feel that this topic is largely untouched, and it's a very important topic when it comes to present times. Because see, our toys exports have improved by around almost 2.4 times, my friend. अगर 100 rupees का हम लोग टॉयज को एक्सपोर्ट करते थे बाहर, who makes toys in India? MSMEs make toys in India, right? Because these are small, it needs small equipments, the playing toys, and toys is a very budding industry. Because see, in all our homes, in all our products, we use Chinese products, and Chinese products are, except the mobile phones of China, nothing is durable, my friend. Fine, because we have a tendency of having a Oppo, Vivo, and for a selfie cameras and all. But Chinese toys, they don't even work. So government has just made sure that MSMEs will be improved, and this particular parts will be will be proving forward from this part. Now my friends, next, just main data about India's export share in world exports. So this is just a data that you have to please make sure that you write it in your notes, right? Under foreign trade policy, you have to make sure that you make it a point. Now example, what it is saying, if we see it carefully, that in 1990, we will just see this part, the gray part. In 1990, around India's share was less than 1%. It means 0.6% share है इंडिया का किस चीज में, एक्सपोर्ट्स में. अगर सपोज 100 रुपीज का सामान एक्सपोर्ट होता है, सो इंडिया उसमें सिर्फ 0.6 रुपीज का सामान एक्सपोर्ट करता है, यानी वे बिहाइंड. Come back after 30 years. If we come back after 30 years, what do we see here? After 30 years, suppose in the year 2022, where is this gray part? This gray part is at 2.4%. It means that almost 4 times का jump, और 400% का हमने jump किया है manufacturing में. It's a very important data. Not only manufacturing, manufacturing plus services. If we see the data of manufacturing, in 1990, we were manufacturing is, I guess, the blue line. Blue line is too less, is 0.6. In that year 2022, where are we in terms of blue line? Blue line is world merchandise export. Blue line is 1.8. It means goods में हमारा सिर्फ 3% का improvement हुआ है. In services export, how much services do we export? Services are what? Things which can only be felt, my friend. So in 1990, India ka share was 0.7%. In the year 2022, see this blooming rise, 4.4. It is almost 600%, or it is 6 times increase. So these three datas, these three lines, it is just have to be mentioned that our journey from being a ship to mouth economy, right? Now we are a net exporter of so many items. So this is just fact you have to keep in mind. Now, in the last segment of the today's class, we'll come back to some news related to Arunachal Pradesh. So Arunachal Pradesh is a weekly roundup. Others who are not from Arunachal Pradesh, they may leave this part, and I hope I'm making sense. Now we'll move on to the Arunachal specific weekly roundup. What all important news articles do we have here? Fine. So just a minute. The first news article we have is from the newspapers of, I have covered 2 newspapers in the first class, that is Arunachal Front and Arunachal Times, the 2 nationals daily. So in the news article of 12th January Arunachal Times, we all have heard about this particular news, that is Center approves construction of 1,000-kilometer long roads in Arunachal, the Chief Minister has says. Now what are the key terms that we have to keep in mind from this part? The key term for our mains examination is See, roads will be built and all. The key terms is first of all this vibrant village. Vibrant village program. This is a scheme. Now, in your prelims examination, 100% questions might be asked from this part, as different state PCS they have asked this question already in their prelims examination, my friend. So please make sure that you read this particular program, Vibrant Village program. Fine. After that, so this particular news is about Vibrant Village. Now this is not that important. What is important is the most important part, which we ignore all the time, which we forget to understand. So this part again. This is an editorial published on the same day in Arunachal Times. A strategic road project in Arunachal will boost development. Now this is another news related to road only. I'll tell you something. Before that, let's see the road. The news is that almost 1800 crore have been given by the central government for the construction of a strategic road project in Arunachal Pradesh, in a significant development. Now, first of all, understand who builds roads, my friend. So road is being built by two people, one by the government and other by the Tishkule company, Tishkule Road Company. Fine. But jokes apart, let's understand what is this road thing all about. What is the fuss of road? Because every now and then we see so many news articles, so many news. Some roads are being built by the state fund, some roads are being built by the central government, state government. What exactly is the situation? How roads are being built? So first of all, there are basically three types of road. One is national highway, one is state roads, state highway, and the other is district roads or village roads. Fine. So this is the classification. Now, my friend, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, what do? Ministry of Road Transport and Highways have a program, and that program is known as National Highway Development Program. Understand, this is for all the states. This is equally applicable for all the states. National Highway Development Programs. Under this National Highway Development Programs, there are four components. For understanding part, if we see, there are particularly four components for understanding. First of all is the construction of national highway. Second, some roads are being constructed from this particular and new fund, which is known as Central Road and Infrastructure Fund. So this is another fund. This fund has nothing to do with the Consolidated Fund of India. How this fund money comes? This money comes from the cess. What is a cess? Tax on tax, my friend. That is a static part that you have to refer to the notes. तो सेस को इकट्ठा करके गवर्नमेंट इस फंड में पैसे भरती है. थर्ड टाइप ऑफ रोड दैट इज बीइंग बिल्ट बाय द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट एंड हाईवेज इज नोन एज economically important and interstate connectivity. Economically important and interstate connectivity, we call it EI and ISC. So, and at last, the type of road that is made is especially accelerated road development program. We call this special accelerated, we called it SPARDA. Fine. Especially accelerated road development project, which obviously enhances the connectivity. So these four kind of things are made. Roads are made under these four criteria. So national highways ka building, we know that is a separate fund. Now what is the CRIF? Now CRIF ka understanding is very, very important. Central Road and Infrastructure Fund. See, earlier it was a specially created fund, which was earlier known as, it is the earlier name, Central Road Fund. It was created in the year 2000. What happens here? Government collects some money in the form of cess, which goes to the Consolidated Fund of India. After Consolidated Fund of India, it is transferred to the CRIF part. Fine, it is transferred to this particular uh, uh, category. From this, the central government gives money to the state government to build state highways. So state highways के लिए पैसा comes from the CRIF fund. Okay. Now next is the connectivity projects which are being built by the strategically important roads which are built by the government. So those all things comes under this part. So now when the Arunachal Pradesh government is getting money, 1782 crore, fine, under plan 1, plan 2, there are many news articles related to this. Suppose one news article is this one. See, I'll show you another article. See this one. No. If you read this news, first news carefully, you will see there is some roads building components of NHI. It is missing in this part. But try to understand that roads are being built in India on the basis of these 4 programs. This is for normal roads. This is CRIF is for funds given to the state government to build roads. Some roads are built under EI and ISC category, and all the border states, especially Arunachal Pradesh, gets a lot of money under to build these many roads. And some roads are built on a separate provisions. So this is the main idea behind this particular part that you have to keep in mind. Next economic news of Arunachal Pradesh related to our GS paper 3 is some ideas which is known as the Cabinet Committee on Infrastructure. So my friend, one more thing that we came to know, that Cabinet Committee, is it mentioned in the Constitution? First question. Fine. What is your answer? It depends on your understanding of the polity subject. Anyway, now then there is Cabinet Committee on Infrastructure is there. After Cabinet Committee on Infrastructure, what the Arunachal Pradesh Cabinet Committee on Infrastructure has done? So they have passed, they have approved, they have finally given around 1253 crore. This is a very, very good amount on some 2816 projects, my friend. What kind of projects? Projects which are under SIDF. What is SIDF? State Infrastructure Development Fund. Now what does this mean? Every state has a consolidated fund. Now why is the need for having a state infrastructure development fund? Because whenever the government makes budget, whenever the government plans, government gives certain amount of fund, taking it out from the consolidated fund of state to this part. Means infrastructure is one of the most important goal of Arunachal Pradesh government, and Arunachal Pradesh government has made a separate fund, separate budget for this infrastructure part, so that there should be no hindrance at all to this infrastructure part. Now what I ask you, please go on the website of Arunachal Pradesh planning, and there is this detailed plan given. What all will be this 816 projects related to infrastructure. Infrastructure can be created in health, infrastructure can be created in education, animal farming, agriculture, everything. So generally जब प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, किस तरह के प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं? हेलीपैड बनाने के लिए, एनिमल शेड बनाने के लिए, काउ शेल्टर बनाने के लिए, मीन्स काउ शेल्टर इन द सेंस की जो एनिमल ट्रीटमेंट है उससे रिलेटेड, वेयर हाउसेस बनाने के लिए, कोल्ड स्टोरेज बनाने के लिए, कनेक्टिविटी, लास्ट माइल रोड्स, ये सब बनाने के लिए, these kind of projects are there to create the infrastructure. Why creating an infrastructure is important, my friend? Very important. Why creation of infrastructure is important? Because we know this, we know one thing at least, that whenever, suppose an individual, when an individual spends 100 rupees and when the government spends 100 rupees, there is a lot of difference. This 100 rupees, when the government invests on building infrastructure, it is known as capital expenditure, and in shortcut we call it capex. So in a way we can say that the Arunachal Pradesh government has released almost 1253 crores rupees, 1253 crore rupees as capex to build infrastructure in the state. Suppose there are two villages, village A, remote, and then there is river is flowing in between, and this, suppose this is village B. Village A has surplus labor. Okay, so if a particular village A has surplus labor, what will be the wage rate? Means labor को ज़्यादा पैसा मिलेगा, कम पैसा मिलेगा. My friend, demand and supply. When there is surplus labor, the wage rate will be less because multiple labors are there. Population ज़्यादा है यहाँ पे. Village B. Suppose in the village B, there is less labor force is available. Deficient labor force is there. When deficient labor force is there, what will happen to the wage rate? Wage rate will be very, very high. Now everybody will be looking for labors. Now what the government does with 100 rupees? Government with this 100 rupees builds a road, builds a bridge. What happens? Labors can easily flow from this part to this part, this part to this part. What happens as a result? It happens that development becomes even. Yes or no? Wage rate becomes equal. Opportunities becomes equal. Right? Business opportunities becomes equal. So government का spending is very, very important. If you are an individual, इस 100 rupees हम लोग क्या करते हैं? अपना एक घर बनाते, उसमें ज़्यादा पैसा खर्चा करते, लेबर को चार्ज देने में. This is the difference between capex and revenue expenditure. So Arunachal Pradesh government is doing capex. Arunachal Pradesh cabinet body on infrastructure approves itna project worth rupees itna crores. Now just imagine the number of employment that this particular project will give. Right, the demand will increase of cements, the demand will increase of sariyas. So capital expenditure is the best way, and this is a very rightful start of this new year. Getting it? So please go on the website and see what all projects are being made. Fine. So I guess I made sense with this video, and we hope to come up with more nuanced way, with more formal way of the third roundup of economic news affairs. So I guess that's all for today. Thank you.